Super duper. Super duper. Okay, let's close some tabs. How many applications do I have? Closing all the things. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
I didn't even tell you I'm on vacation this week.
Coming to you live.
I'm coming to you live from my bed.
Fantastic.
I'll have to take a photo of this setup because I've got this microphone sitting on the pillows as well as my laptop, and it's just balancing just right. So there's a good chance we're going to have a whole tumble over in the middle.
Fantastic. Happy vacation.
Yeah. Been good.
Why aren't you out playing? What are you doing here?
It's a good break. Sometimes you just gotta, take a break from the break. There's enough sun. I do have a beer though.
Oh, fantastic. I'd join you, but 6 a.m.
You need a whiskey.
Yeah, I do. Cool. So you launched Baby Pants and sold so many that you're like, right, see you, Ricky. Can you just make 100 of these? I'm out of here.
Good luck. No, basically, yeah. No, I haven't seen my family. They live in the middle of the United States for a while, so we met up in Texas, actually. So neither of us lived there and hadn't been to Austin before, so it was like, let's just see what it's like. And it's 100 degrees here, so it's warm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How far from home are you?
Oh, I think it's like, I'm going to be around like 1,800 miles, maybe.
Oh, so
basically
you didn't drive.
From the corner to the bottom center of the United States.
Not a driving holiday then.
No, we did not.
Cool.
Hadn't been on a plane since 2019, so that was interesting. I was a little anxious leading up to it, and then we took off, and I was like, oh, it's just a plane. Had you flown much other than your trip to Sydney?
No, I was the same. I hadn't got on one for a couple of years. Quite a few years. Yeah. Very cool. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's been good.
And Ricky's chipping away back in the shop.
Mm-hmm. Finished a couple jobs. We had, I don't have a photo, but I'll definitely include it. There was a disastrous print the last couple days. There was like half of a Baby Pants and then spaghetti for like all night. It was really bad. I don't know what happened.
Allocate that to our order.
Sure, yeah, you can have that.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the box.
I had a dream this morning about unboxing Baby Pants.
And how did it go?
It was very well packaged. One of my staff had picked it up at the post office and had unboxed it before I got there, which I was a bit annoyed about. And it was smaller than I expected. I was like, oh yeah. It was kind of, I think in reality, the duck size was probably like 3 inches maybe.
It really is for babies.
It's a cute little cardboard box. Yeah. And then I woke up.
That's adorable. It's made for ants?
Yeah. For benchtop
That's
CNCs,
funny.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope it works fine for yours. I think, I don't know why I wouldn't, but I've only tested it with the one type of machine so far.
I'm sure it will. The spindle code matches.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's kind of like a mad rush finishing stuff because I knew I was going to be gone, and then got it up and had a good response so far. People have been very kind and excited, so it's always a nice feeling when you put something out there and people respond well.
Yeah. I was excited to see it go up. It was a lower price point than I was expecting, which was interesting. After all our chat about how many print hours are in it and stuff, I was like, I really didn't know where it was going to fall.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was intriguing. But yeah, pretty excited to get it on the machine and get some dust collection going.
Yeah,
from a practical point of view, it'll be great. You got some sales straight off the bat?
Yeah, I've done a few things, right? Launched a few things, and it was surprising to have. It's always smaller things. It's never been something more considerable. I've done a lot of like planners and small things. There's always some people that'll trickle in sales for those things, and it kind of happens over time. But there was somebody that bought within 3 minutes of the email going out of the Baby Pants, and I was like, oh, thank God.
That's
You're
awesome.
just like sitting there watching, waiting for people to hit the website, or at least I'm always excited when something new comes out. I'm like, oh, I can see it. Somebody going to buy it? Yeah, it wasn't crazy. I think there's 10 or 11 at this point, but
That's great.
that's nice. Nice for a couple days. And
fantastic.
you either see it, knew you wanted it the whole time, or it takes a while for somebody to go, oh, hey, that's interesting. So I'm getting questions about, I had a friend point out that you might as well just sell them a 4-inch. I just don't want to be disappointed, at the end of the day of buying it and it doesn't perform as maybe you saw in our videos or something because it's lesser. But
you could just have a 4-inch adapter so you can use the standard baby pants hood.
Yep.
With a reducer.
How does that work? I've been curious with yours. It's a 5-inch here. Do you use inch size diameter hose? You've got to use millimeter stuff, right?
I think it is all. It's one of those things which I reckon is all imperial in metric disguise. Yeah, kind of a lot of things here are listed as their metric size, but in reality, when you actually measure stuff, it's like, oh, this is just an imperial standard that they've called 150 or it's actually 152. Yeah. All that stuff's pretty interchangeable. So I expect it just to drop on.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And if not, well, we can figure out some printed adapter that you can get somebody to make.
I'm sure.
Or you can make it now.
Yeah. Well, in-house printer.
Since your website's gone up, you're fixing bugs. I found one bug for you. I think Jay got that fixed. How's all that gone? Kit Apart's launched.
Yeah, pretty good. Had a strong weekend of sales. Not totally gangbusters, but I think similar to you, like a bunch of people who knew what was coming and were waiting and ready to purchase. So we had a good sort of influx. New website is kind of where we left it last week, as in we got it up, got 90% of the issues resolved on the day, and then there's still heaps of little jobs to do, which Jay is sort of chipping away at now, but I haven't sort of got back there and done much more work on it, moved on to other things this week, but happy to have it up there. It's good. Happy with how it looks, and it's good to have the new Kit Aparts up there.
Yeah, that's nice.
I feel like I've got my work cut out for me now to like do some really good communication about what's changed and why, and where the compatibility lies between the two versions and stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember sending you some comment about like, it looks like it's going so well, but I saw a couple people comment like, how do I adapt it into my existing one? In my head, I was thinking that wasn't possible, but you figured that out. You have a compatibility.
In my head, yeah. I can do it. It's just hard to explain to people what's possible and what's not. So I just need to do some work on actually making that content to explain those differences.
Yeah.
Which, if I just sit down and do it, won't take me very long. But it's one of those tasks that I put off because it feels bigger than it is.
Yeah. I was going to ask, what with your website, have you had to touch every product page to like adapt it? Because like I have weird quirks with a lot of them where I'll like custom code some stuff in the description, and which is a bad, like after we talked last week, I was thinking like, why the hell am I doing that? Like it's such a hassle to have to adapt to your whatever your new theme is, or you're saying like anything custom is always a pretty big problem.
When it comes to updates, yeah. Yeah, we've had to touch every page, definitely. Jay's done the bulk of that work with all the product pages, sort of working through and checking everything. Yeah, it's a big job. I think we've got 300 plus variants online, so it's a lot of stuff.
I can believe that.
Yeah, by the time you add material options and size options to things, the variant list just goes bananas.
I bet Kit Aparts had like an exponential factor to that. Or do you don't sell like a la carte pieces, do you?
All the what?
Do you sell like individual pieces of Kit Aparts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of pieces.
Yeah. A lot of parts, a lot of SKUs. And now there's 2 versions online. Haha. Just to complicate things.
Haha. Like put a little dot of color on the end, V1, V2.
Yeah, I think we'll have to.
Laser cutter.
Oh, yeah. That's in the budget for January, a laser.
Hey.
But I spent yesterday morning writing new programs for all the new lengths for the new Kit Aparts, getting that dialed in. It's always fun. Cut and paste a whole lot of G code and update it, and then run it and try not to crash. And it's getting easier. I'm getting better at reading G code and telling what's going on, and it's more comfortable making those changes without issue.
Are you getting anywhere closer to posting something that's not needing a lot of edits out of Fusion?
No, I haven't made any further progress on that. I had a chat to our Fusion retailer at that trade show I went to recently was there, like the Autodesk reps. And they've got a company called Massive, I think it is, that write post-processors and specialize in post-processors. And I chatted to them and basically they could write us a custom post to get exactly what we want out of Fusion for the pencil sharpener. So at that point, I kind of stopped fiddling with my post and thought, I'll just keep copying and pasting for now. And if the need arises in the future, then we'll commission a post-processor that just works. It's working pretty well. I've pretty much just got Visual Studio Code open and I've just built an index in Visual Studio Code of all my most commonly used functions and also code blocks of like, this is my entry block, this is my exit block, this is my like cutoff block. And I just sort of paste them in and check values and works pretty well.
I'll play the John Saunders here. What happens if you crash that thing because you've been fiddling with code? Is it a big hit to Kitapart's business then?
Oh, I've crashed it so many times now.
Doesn't matter.
Like, look, I'm sure it does matter. I've damaged those Makita spindles time and time again, but amazingly, and we've replaced them fully once, which is a fairly big job because you kind of have to pull the whole XY axis apart to gain access to get the spindles out. I call them spindles, haha. The trimmers, the cheap Makita trimmers. But I keep crashing it since we replaced them, and I'm literally just taking a hammer and a wooden stick and like beating the shaft back into true. Not even with a edge finder or anything, just like running the tool up against the chuck and spinning it and finding the run out and like tap, 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 tap.
Yeah.
Find the run out, tap, 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 and refine it down to like enough, So it's concentric enough that it runs well again. So that I've got that down to a fine art. So if I crash really hard, I can kind of have it beaten back into shape in about 10 minutes. But I'm sure every time I'm doing that, I'm just slowly destroying the bearings or whatever. I'll have to replace them.
It's almost like they're priced here basically like a fairly normal CNC carbide tool. It's almost like they're consumable in a sense, those trimmers.
The trimmers, I know, right?
They're just a CNC tool, basically. An end mill.
That's a good point. They really are a similar price point.
And even if you retired them from your pencil sharpening game, they could be used in the shop still, I'm sure, just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to have this box of Makita trimmers. We'll just have 3 on every bench.
Give them to Laura for a sculpture.
Yeah, but that's kind of been my happy place, just hanging out with the pencil sharpener of a morning.
That's good.
Something that's changed here in the last couple of weeks is I've handed it off my hat as production manager to Ben. And Ben was naturally starting to sort of do this the last few months since I had COVID, actually. It was a Monday in the tent. I called Ben. I was like, can you cover me? He was just like, it was a one-line conversation. He was just like, yeah, gotcha. Since then, he's kind of just naturally sort of upped his game and has kept his head around pretty much everything that's going on in the workshop.
That's amazing.
So it's quite a natural transition to say, cool, this is your baby now in terms of production management.
What was his previous top responsibilities? Or tasks? What was Ben's previous? Yeah.
He's what we call a production operator, so a maker, and he was handling sort of the larger, more complex custom jobs because of his experience. His proper experience. He's actually qualified, unlike me. He's a joiner and has worked as a joiner in big joinery shops for a long time and has a lot of experience in the industry. So I think he sort of came in here a year or so ago and was like, "Oh, these people work in strange ways." But was very flexible and adapted to our systems. And
naivety is a good innovation tool.
It really is. It really is.
There's a good chance that you're going to hear my nephew and niece running around, but maybe it'll be some, instead of the Kaeser, it'll be my my new Kaesers. I hadn't actually seen my niece. She was born during the pandemic, and I'd never seen her till this trip, so it's been pretty cool.
That's amazing. How old is she now?
Just over a year, I think. 14 months, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty cute. Pretty cute. They're running down. They just got done with their naps, so they're running down the stairs right now.
Awesome.
You can hear
As
them.
long as they're dressed as minions, little Kaisers, I'm happy.
Oh my god, it'd be amazing. Oh, so good. I've been watching a lot of like their Disney style shows, right? Like I just saw Frozen 2 for the first time. I think I knew that existed.
Come on. Came out ages
I
ago.
don't have little kids. We do every once in a while. We'll watch some kind of animated show, which we both like, but it's just not top of the list. We're not flipping at Disney kids usually.
You think I watch those because I have kids?
Good point. Good.
It's been... It's always been top of our watch list for Laura and I, and we still watch them. The kids don't get to watch movies. They're not old enough in our mind. So Laura and I are the ones dialing up the latest Pixar or Disney animation.
Sure. No, it's great. We watched Luca actually when we were both fevering from COVID, and we both fell asleep before it was over, but it was really good. What I remember of it. Have you printed anything else?
Nope. Don't think we have this week. I've got plans for some guards and dust collection for the pencil sharpener. I think that's probably next to fiddle around with. My cardboard ones that are hot glued on are only so good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're quite effective at dust collection, but not so good at guarding.
Like a laser curtain.
Yeah, well, that's the other way to think about it, is just to box it in.
Yeah.
Like, not try and make each cutting tool protected. But just kind of put the thing in a cage and lock the door, walk away.
Oh, I know. I was going to ask. Did you take down all those stories of you and the 3D print with the squared around 3D print and call it? I remember we talked about them last show, and then I was like, I was enjoying your stories, and you're like, yeah, I thought I was grunting a lot, and then I went to look for them again, and they were all gone. I was like, oh man, maybe it was just 24 hours already.
No, they must have expired. I didn't take them down.
Okay.
But I think I've saved pretty much every pencil sharpener story to highlights.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
There's a pencil sharpener highlight reel that's probably hours long by now.
I was going to put, well, that's true. I was going to put, if I kind of just like didn't try very hard, but I was going to take some of those that are pretty funny and put them into the show last week. And then, because we talked about it, and then I didn't get very far.
Yeah, sorry I dropped the ball on the edit last week.
No.
Or any help with the edit.
That's right. I was laying around. Yeah, I was glad I sent you that one clip. It was a little too hot for publishing, because I was like, I think I was doing it pretty late. And I was like, this might be too much. Don got a little heavy.
Don got saucy. Yeah, he did. So what's the plan when you get back?
Catch up on some emails. Start making a bunch of dust boots.
Awesome.
Cut material. I'm hoping some more prints get made, but Ricky actually, that was an interesting thing of like, I'd spent so much time myself. He'd printed quite a bit before we started using the Prusa actually. He used the other one quite a bit, and then I'd kind of just been using it a lot to prototype stuff. So it really there wasn't a place for like him to help make production happen with it. It was just like, print one, oh, there's problems, fix it. And then I was like, getting ready to leave, and I was like, oh man, we should have gone over this a little more. But I was like, you know how to print, just make it work. And like the only time it's had a major spaghetti monster was when I was gone. But other than that, it's been pretty good. I don't know. Honestly haven't thought too much about what I'm going to be doing, which is nice. I don't usually check out too easily on vacation, but it's been been able to be here, I think, more than there.
That's really good. Great. Good. Do you manage to stay away from emails?
I did. It depends on the amount of days. I do believe in that, like a certain amount of days away, I can like really disconnect and just put some auto responses on. And so far we've only had one email that I saw that was like, I have an urgent project. And I was like, is somebody bleeding? Like, because I can't really help you.
Yeah, I've been enjoying using the new focus modes on my phone at work.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got one set now that just automatically turns on work focus when I arrive at this address, which can be confusing at times. It's like, how did I miss so many calls this morning? It's like, oh, that's right. My phone automatically switched to focus mode. But it's been good. Like, I'm a sucker for distraction.
Oh, same, yeah.
So anytime Slack pings off internally with a message, I'm just like, boop, switching tabs, Just have a look at what it is at least. Even if I don't respond, then I'm looking at it and thinking about it. I'm trying to get better at that. Like if something's really urgent, then if it's someone here, they can come and talk to me. Or if it's Sarah, she can pick up the phone or we'll get through. But I'm trying to get better at not responding to every little thing throughout the day immediately and kind of batching them a bit more.
Yeah.
Particularly with Slack. I never get email notifications, but
Yeah, either. Same either.
I get, as the sort of channel owner, I get the email from Slack every week that tells me how many messages we've sent as a team last week, and the number is a little bit frightening. I think it's sort of 600 or 700 a week internal messages, which it's an effective tool, but it does make me sort of question where effectiveness stops and distraction begins, and it's a blurry line, I think.
I think I've really liked it versus email. We don't pay for Slack. We never have, because it's never pushed it to a place where it feels like you need to. You begin to rely on it as a tool, but then now the history drops off right at the end. So then it's like, oh crap, we put it in Slack. So we have this problem where it's like, where did we keep something? And you try to have your repository, but inevitably, if it was email or Slack, you're going to have one of this like messaging channels where something important is that you can't find. So that's about my only thing I don't like about Slack, or it's become somewhat of a challenge, I guess.
Yeah, well, you've got that
minor,
nice, like internal wiki, right?
It's just, the friction though, right? That's why Slack's so successful is you literally alt tab to it and then immediately send a message like, hey, this dimension is this. But then it's there, and it's like, what channel was that?
Yeah, totally. We've been trying to use group channels a little bit more lately. I think as part of the transition of Ben taking on production management, I renamed one of our channels, which wasn't being particularly effective, to production. And so there's everyone sees certain messages now. So I was aware that we're doing a lot of, I would tell Ben something and then Ben would talk to John would talk to Josh. And it's like this kind of the before conversations happening concurrently. So trying to do a bit more sort of just group messaging of, hey, this job's ready. This is the handover video. This is the detail for this job. So even it means certain people will get spammed with it who it's not relevant to.
Yeah.
But at least it's there if they need it and they can go back and look at that channel.
Yeah.
If they're trying to find some detail. And the history thing doesn't. We've had people here have sort of complained about the fact that the history's gone and they can't go back and find a document from 3 years ago or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but the pace at which we sort of move on and change standards and innovate means that it's pretty much all redundant information.
Yeah.
Certain things, yes, it might be handy to be able to search back, but 99% of it is like useless.
For sure. Well, I was going to ask about that. Have you used it all, or you tested out Freshdesk? Was it something you liked?
Really like the look of it. It's on the project list.
Sure.
Jay and I really like the idea of having some sort of overlay that can help us manage client communications. Because at the moment we use Google Suite, whatever it's called, like Gmail basically, with our own domain. Around the messaging around in custom jobs is basically just a draft email that sits against the email conversation. So we have like 3,000 draft emails in Gmail with all these notes against different jobs. And it's okay. It's kind of a hacky way that we've just always done. It's not ideal. Like if we want to sort of tag each other into things or sort of hand over a custom job from Aaron to me, it's just, could be heaps better basically. But
kind of use Airtable for that.
Do you?
Try to. I mean, it's just been such a, whenever it's down to as slim as just Ricky and I, it ends up being a lot of like just Slack back and forth. But whenever there's multiple people involved, more than that, I tried to create a project aspect of Airtable that has tasks associated with each project. So then theoretically, everything that's important should just go in like a notes field of the project. And that way, and I kind of do it like an itinerary, or not itinerary, but like a log also of like when they paid deposits and when it's due and all this kind of stuff there. So that's a little bit better than what we did before.
Having one master place for information, I think, is Important for sure. The other thing that's come up for me over the years is we've got 8 staff at the moment, and we have really good staff retention, but there's natural rollover. So over the years, we've had quite a few staff. Something I've become aware of is not everyone perceives and absorbs information in the same way. Mm-hmm. And so there's definitely moments in time where you become aware that whilst Airtable or Workflow might be a really effective written communication tool for one person, it might be really hard and unintuitive for someone else. Like someone might struggle with interpreting just like a workflow, like just a screen of black and white text and sort of picking out what's important out of that, whereas someone else can kind of scan it and go, oh yeah, that's important. The rest of it's whatever. Yeah. And that was one of the drivers from us to switch away from workflow and build our ERP and Airtable was sort of how can we make this a bit more rich and customizable with the different views. So I can have my own view that's got my own color coding or sort of is adapted to how I want to see information. And that's limited to a point, obviously, but I think it's helped. But
I noticed that pretty early on, and what the success of Airtable, I think, for us was we did have a handful of different, you always do, different types of people, different interests and ways that they take in information. And all the other ways, it felt like maybe you get the options. Let's say it's a project-based thing, like we used Flow before, or Trello is similar, where you either get Kanban or like a list of some sort. And I think there was some success in Airtable being able to have personal views, which kind of took it's still, a little bit confusing for the people that don't sit look at their computer all day like I do. They're actually making stuff. That's been really successful. Is certain, like Ricky always, I notice he uses like 1 or 2 views in Airtable because that's all, like that was kind of part of my attention was like, here's what you need to pay attention to. Like, don't dig through all this stuff. Like, you don't need to, unless you're interested, go for it. But if you just want to find what you need to work on, here's a couple views. It seems to be successful. It doesn't miss anything, and I like that you can at least tailor something maybe a little bit more to your taste and it's not forced as everybody's view has to be this.
Yeah, I think the personal view thing's fantastic. I use that really heavily in our quoting register, just filtering everything down to just what I want to see and just the views, or even making client-specific views of like for our biggest clients, like who are the people that I need to follow up with, just give me those jobs. And
nice. Yeah.
So powerful. I love it. It's good. I was struck the other day of like, we have so much information in Airtable now and it still runs so well. It's relatively responsive. You can find stuff quickly. I don't know how many individual lines of data there must be in there now, but it's like bing, 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 bing. And that amazes me. The internet. Wow.
It will, I'd say the one thing you can't do is if like on all of our inquiries are on one thing and there's only 1,300 or something like that, but you can't just scroll through. I can't anyway. It like won't load fast, but if you just search or, kind of pick spots, it works all right. And maybe just how I have it shown. But yeah, it's pretty clean. I would love to get to this place with it where I've set it up often and I just have too many things going on, I think, most of the time. But, we have this Airtable for parts department, right? We have all these different things. And I would love if the permissions were fine, you could set permissions to be able to have like a master search of like, I want to see across all these things, like Google Drive style, nice. Right? Because it's very siloed to a base and sometimes even a table. And they've got these weird extensions that you can search some stuff, but it's like not quick to get janky. To. And that'd be nice.
That's been one of my complaints probably is search. Coming from Workflow, where search was just so fast and responsive and global. Yeah, that siloed nature is a bit annoying, but I reckon it will come. They seem pretty good in terms of they're developing stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah. What are you working on that's new? Anything?
I was about to ask you the same, like instead of pushing pixels around Airtable, what are we doing in reality?
Well, that often.
What's new? I am starting to switch my focus a little bit towards the next product I want to launch.
Nice.
Which is our competitor NACWAL. Watch out.
Threadboard.
Threadboard. starting to put a product launch structure into place.
Ooh.
So instead of it just being arbitrary randomness, I think I'm gonna try for monthly.
Whoa.
Because we've got such a backlog at the moment of cool stuff that we're sitting on that staff have designed or I've got sitting in the wings. We've got like 6 to 9 months of backlog. Gonna see if it's possible to go monthly.
Yeah.
Just see what happens. But
are a lot of those to the place where I find what I get into is this place where we have a lot of good ideas and they're like kind of all but production ready, basically. Or there's some last final detail about like, I don't know, just something isn't quite figured out and it just kind of, it'll sit too long. Is that how you have things, or are they?
Yeah, some things are definitely in that category.
Yeah.
I think Threadboard's one that's been, prototyped and tested, and it's probably a couple of years old now, really. But due to not resolving the accessories to a point where I'm happy with them has meant that it's kind of just stagnated. So, just make stuff. Well, the plan is to just get a few accessories going and get it up there as a wall system.
I know this pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you at with your wall system?
It definitely got put a little bit on the back burner of, I went for the thing that seemed most obvious and easy to complete, which was the dust boot. It just felt like it was an easy win.
It's contained, right?
Yeah, it's one thing. It's not a series of panels with a bunch of other stuff that, I mean, the other really encouraging thing was every time I'd post about it, I have somebody say like, I want to buy that now. It was just very awesome to see interest and solving a very known problem in some way, or trying to solve, and making it better. So close. Through our pressure some ways, I've felt like I've made some good progress on getting things on Shopify, and we're kind of just at this place of I need to document it and finalize some pricing on it. That's the part for me at this point, is how to price, both to make profit as well as what will the market feel is a fair price kind of thing.
Yeah, cool. I'd love to have an offline chat with you about pricing at some point.
Ooh, sure.
Compare notes. Yeah. Given that we're on the opposite sides of the world and are not direct competitors, I feel like we're well placed to have an in-depth conversation about pricing.
Well, guess you've stumbled onto my plan. The whole time of getting to know you, I was planning to move into the Australian market, actually. So,
well, you're welcome to. Bring it on.
An epic battle of wall systems is afoot. Will both of our hosts survive?
Long-term plan. No,
Don,
sounds way too hard.
Who are you going to side with, Don? Over to you.
I would flip a coin, but I don't have hands.
Guess you'll have to edit this one.
Shit, where was I?
I don't know. Pricing and
pricing.
Eating each other's lunch.
It frustrates me. Eating lunch. It frustrates me that talking money is kind of taboo.
Yeah.
This is something that annoys me as a business owner. And maybe it's because I'm a business owner, but I really enjoy whenever the opportunity arises to have a frank conversation with someone about financial stuff, whether it's business, personal, property, even rental, like everything about it. I feel like it's such a big part of our lives that it just annoys me that it feels like it's something that we feel funny about talking about. Good use of words, Jem. Funny talking
men.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Do you have that?
Yeah, no,
sense?
I do. I try. I think we may be somewhat similar, and I know what you mean, even in this sense of, I think in a business sense, where it becomes, the company Everlane? Everlane, it's like a clothing company. Maybe it must be American only. I'm not like a huge proponent of them, but my wife likes their clothes.
Sponsored,
not by Everlane. They're all about transparency, supposedly. So, like, they tell you how much their ads cost. They tell you how much the profitability is. Sure. And I think where it comes into play, where I have some sensibility about that, is it's probably on either end. If I'm not making much money on something, I'm conscious of it. Or if for some reason we found, which never happens, a way to make a lot of money on something, right? Like the margin's amazing. I think that's where I would feel weird about it. But somewhere in the middle, internally, I try to share we both talked about that. I try to share as much as I can because I think it helps people be responsible about how they spend their time and feel a part of, things and make good decisions.
Yeah, like I would, in this context of this podcast, I would like to be able to talk about finances more freely. If we sold X on the weekend, or like last week's sales went really well, this financial year was terrible, and I'm quite comfortable talking to you about that offline. But yeah, there is a sense of sort of, protecting oneself by not giving away that sort of information. And I'm not sure what that's about.
For sure.
We've gotten heaps better at sharing that internally.
Yeah.
Sarah presented our 2023 budget last week to the whole team, and that was like full P&L budget basically on screen.
Fancy.
Absolutely everything in there, and a bottom line, a projected profit. If we can get the sales that we need to get, which are quite ambitious, then the profit looks really good. I think everyone here is on board and understands what that bottom line means for the company and the why it's important that we need to push for that. But yeah, I've definitely in the past, I've been much more hesitant about sharing sort of bottom line profit if there was one. Whereas,
yeah, well, there's another side to that. I don't know. I suppose at any point here, we just cut out what we don't want out there. But
I know. In terms of the recording, fine, we'll cut.
The other side of that, as business owners, what it comes out to be, especially in America, is there's this whole conversation of like the owner is going to take whatever's left over and make good on the situation, which is fair to a point, as long as you're not taking advantage of the people that work for you. But that's part of some of the conservatism, I think, of talking about it is, there's a whole group of people out there that love to talk about that kind of thing. Like, I'm making so much money. It's like, you're right. Apparently neither of us are in that game, but
no. Like that podcast you shared recently, what was it?
How to make $1 million. My first million, yeah. That made me throw up half of it, but the other half was like, oh, that's interesting.
That was a super, super interesting episode. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. There's, the whole swathe of people who are very happy talking about that stuff. And I'm quite happy listening to that stuff.
Financial podcasts make a lot more money. So do YouTube. So I'm going to probably change this one on YouTube so that it's financial, so that we get a little higher. We don't even make money on it, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know what you mean, though. It's hard. There's a whole lot wrapped up in, I think, culture. To me, anyway, what comes up with that, why it feels weird, is the kind of discussion about equality of have and have-nots kind of thing, right? Like the people that theoretically make all this money on the backs of people that maybe are working a lower wage. This is not describing either of our businesses, but I think you don't become a billionaire, right? They always say, without taking advantage of some scenario.
Yeah.
If you paid everybody $100,000 that worked for you in your megalopoly to get to your $1 billion status, like you probably wouldn't have made $1 billion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have some sort of, I'm going to say hang-ups about profit. I definitely have some base level discomfort with the concept of profit and profitability, which I definitely need to work on. And that's something my business coach has helped me with a little bit of, like, he's excited, I think genuinely excited about what we're trying to do in terms of the kind of triple bottom line business model of people, planet, profit. He keeps having to sort of remind me of, Jem, you have to make profit for this business to work, and just you need to reframe your thinking about what that profit is. So the profit is all the good things you want to do in terms of our sustainability initiatives. It's investing in the company and new and exciting sort of innovations, basically. So I've got that up on my whiteboard next to my desk, is like whenever I'm quoting a job and I feel like it's too expensive or something, I can kind of look across and go, oh yeah, that's right. That's why we're here. That's what we're trying to do. It's our kind of
profit.
Our mission is like profit for good. But yeah, it's something I struggle with for sure.
Yeah, I put on the beginning of the year, I was thinking about goals in January. I hadn't done it for a couple of years because I was survival mode from pandemic. I feel like there's something to that, where I just felt like there was no time to pause and reflect or something. I don't know. The beginning of the year, that was definitely my, like, after so much development with NACWall and just we were running very lean, and I made this crappy little like cutout piece of paper that I put mailing tape and put it on my monitor. That literally it was just the word profit. So that I was just constantly staring at it because I was like kind of getting comfortable with the idea of it being just kind of in development, because that phase it's kind of the honeymoon for me anyway. I love that, just like constant fiddling, and like it's very internal. We don't need, well, that's not true at all. We need the people to be investing through buying things in some sense, but on a daily basis, it's really easy to just go, oh, what's the next challenge? Oh, it's fixturing for this piece of the NACWall, and kind of get stuck in that without somebody. Like, I'm thinking more and more, probably from talking to you, about needing to have some external influence, like a business coach or something that's saying you need to do this. You know, just a place to reflect that's outside of myself, outside of my own decisions every day, that can be so, siloed.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I think we're similar in that respect of we're more interested in the next fixture than perhaps what we should be thinking about as business owners.
I think we're very similar. I mean, you're a few years ahead of me, I think, but I think you having said that, and I had thought about something like a business coach, is honestly that I don't know how to find one at this point is my biggest challenge. Like, I would happily be doing that. Final step there is I'm very, very aware and very sure in myself that I am not a business person at heart. I am a person that likes to like solve the problems around a product and make it good. And that doesn't, unfortunately, it's come more and more clear over the past few months. Like, it's not helping me sell things. I need an external influence in that way. And hopefully that becomes somebody that works in the company that's also like more business focused.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'm thinking about Grimsmo now and like his journey, and whether he will ever get to a point where he's actually hires like a GM or someone else to actually run it, and he just could commit to his like just mucking around on machines and doing what he's best at and what he really loves.
Living our dream.
Yeah, don't know. I think there's definitely a scale at which that's not possible, just in terms of revenue and turnover. Like, I think businesses need to be of a certain size before they can, well, both afford someone in that role, but also there needs to be so much structure in place for the leader to be somewhat absent.
Yeah. I thought about that. Have you? Well, we talked about that quite a while back, but the NC Pocket, they're making, working on the fifth axis, kind of like next step up. And I keep thinking about that for myself. Like, that's definitely where I would hope to go to in business down the road, is like, we've got this kind of machine that makes good products that people need or want. And there's people that know how to make all those things. And I don't have to be involved with every step of it. And that I can say, all right, well, I'm going to go in my room over here and work on this new cool machine that we can hopefully sell. That's very ideal to me. Kind of what I always, and it's very privileged, I think, to be able to think about it that way, or to hope to get to that place, because I don't know, it may never happen, I guess, to that degree. That's kind of my like dream position of that's what I would like to be doing, is I'll be the idea spinner over here on the corner.
Yeah. Tinkering. Is that what you were trying to write? I couldn't work that out.
Yeah, I wrote chance for some reason instead of coach.
Well, I should let you get back to your holiday,
Sure.
I think.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
There's no beaches in Texas, are there?
There are. It's so big. It's such a big state. So like, we're still pretty inland though. A few hours away from the beach. It's on the Gulf Coast.
Oh yeah.
Next to Mexico.
Oh, it's got heaps of coast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big state.
It's enormous. You're like, what, an hour and a half from the coast?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like Portland, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I got nothing else. My mind's on vacation, I guess.
Good. Get back to it.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
It's good to chat.
Yeah, always good. Thanks, man. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Beep, boop. Boop, boop. I don't know how that audio is going to be. I've been balancing microphone on this,
you do have
on this
your good
pillow.
mic.
It fit in this like this foam cutout thing, and I was like, that seems like one I could bring. This is the one I used on our first one that was really sensitive, so hopefully it's not terrible.